All right. First off, thank you for taking a couple minutes to watch this video and to download some of our stuff to help you out. So hopefully this stuff helps you out. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I believe there's a contact form on the page where you downloaded all this information. Hopefully this stuff works out for you guys. I try to organize it as best as possible to make sure that this stuff would be easy to use as you go through your implementation and process steps. So this video is all about Microsoft Visio, which is a process builder tool. So you use this tool to build out process maps and flows to say how things should flow and function. And there's actually a few different advanced things that you can do here to take this flow and to import it into automation tools. But I won't go too deep into that. This is going to be a brief introduction just to say how to build these out, some best practices around it, and some tips and tricks to help you as you build. So here inside the program, and I'll hide my face down here, but here inside the program, this tool so first off, what I did was I went into Visio, which is part of Microsoft 365. It's actually an add-on tool. So I'm using the Visio in the web, which is a Visio license 1. But they do have different templates, a flow chart template, process step template. You can also click more templates and it'll bring up a whole bunch of popular and different templates that you can utilize, some of which you can just work with, like create an approval process. So this one is, let's click create and see what happens. And I'm going to break down how to create one from scratch as well. But here is the layout of one. So you saw I just have a template here. Now, the biggest thing that when building these out is swim lanes. So see how this has a different swim lane here, but it's all pink. I don't like the fact that it's all pink. So we could have customer, and you can change this to like red, right? But the point of these swim lanes, I feel like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the point of these swim lanes is to clearly identify who is in charge of what, which is also that Rossi tool that's also in this download. So Rossi actually stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So through all of these steps in the process, you should know who is responsible for that step in the process, who is accountable for that step in the process, meaning like who's the POC, who do you go to, and it doesn't have to be a specific individual, right? When you're talking about this kind of stuff, you shouldn't say we go to Bob, right? Because who's Bob? He might not be here in 6 months, right? So it should be laid out like this in terms of swim lane to say who is the responsible party, who's the accountable party, not thinking of roles, not individuals. And then C would be consulted. So who would be like the knowledge member, who would have the historical knowledge, who would get the know-how. So think of it in a sales process. Your sales member might not know all the nutritional value, and so they might have to go to the nutritionist. So the process might be in the hands of the sales representative, but they might have a solutions architect or a nutritionist or something like that they have to consult with to get the necessary information. So that's the C. The I would be informed. Generally, you're the end client or the customer is being informed, or a manager is being informed of where you're at in the process. So that's the I. So it's RACI, Rossi. So let's get back into this flow. So this right here is the swim lanes I was telling you about. So we'll walk through this credit approval process. So, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight. So I'm just clicking on these swim lanes. So I choose sales. I'm going to change it to blue. I'm going to change management to teal, and I'll choose credit department to green. So now what you can do here is what I like to do is I like to change the color of everything in the specific area to match the swim lane. Now the process start, I like to change that to a specific color. So I'll choose, we'll choose orange just so it sticks out. And then the process end, I generally choose red, but since we chose this red, but it'll be start and end. Sometimes I do it green but so let's do green here, and then we'll change this to orange so that stands out. So then sales call, order entry, order form. Now this is green, so let's change this to blue so that it matches the process, right? The alternative here, and I'm just going to do all this so that you can see what it looks like, and then I'll change these all to orange. So I think that aesthetically, this is the best way to go. I think that we can clearly see just by looking at how many steps the customer is responsible for, or where it is in their hands using the red. The blue, we see that they have 3, management has 2 areas, and the credit department has orange, right? So that's the way that I like to do this. And I like to build it out in swim lanes like this, and it generally flows from start to end, left to right, is generally how this works, right? Another way that you can do that is build out through a color scheme around forms. So you could say, now if you want to have all actionable items a certain color and all decisions another color. So let's say that the diamonds are generally decisions. So we can make all of these decisions purple. So then now we still have any necessary action is red because that's a customer, but any decision is purple. So now we see how many decisions are within the process. You're following me so far? So this will be a way to add a swim lane as to who's responsible at what point in time, and then what is their action, and then any decisions. So I'm now going to take you into a blank one, and we can kind of go through this together, right? So a lot of, depending on your license, will have swim lanes. So over here are all the different things that you can use. So you have the process step, the basic shapes, okay? Process, so we have vertical process, process outline, process step. You know, so if I click process step and then I drag it in here, that'll give you, you know, they'll give you a swim lane, right? Or you could just build it yourself as any sort of process, the way that it lays out. There's also a multi-level if you wanted to use, you know, beginning, right, middle, end, and then step 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. This is another way to build them out, but we're going to go over a process flow like I just showed you here in this space. And so been building these out. This is your first step to any sort of templates that Andy will talk about, or any sort of automation, or any next step. But first is just getting something out of your head and onto a piece of paper. So you can do this by like hit start, right? And it'll search for any type of shape that you might have. Okay, so we have, so we can drag this on and we can say start, right? So from the start, what do we want to do next? We want to say maybe we'll use a rectangle and we'll say customer fills out form, right? Maybe we're going to build something for a support ticket, right? So see how if I hover over this, it gives me arrows in any direction. So I can grab this and I can click and drag it on, and now it will point. Now I'm going to Control Z. I'm going to delete that. The other is this little arrow right here. And now if I hover over that arrow, you'll see a couple different things. So I got basic shapes that I can add. So I could say customer fills out form. And so now since I have it as a circle, as a fill out form, I would want to keep that shape as we go through the entire process. So we would say every time somebody fills out a form, it's a circle, right? And then we can go like a square, and we can say, is this a support ticket, right? And so then this would be a decision, right? So now don't just move it wherever you want, right? Like don't just put it in any old place. we want to make sure again that it follows these swim lane flows. So it should go relatively left to right is the general idea of this. As you read, when you read left to right. The process should go this way as well. So first I'll say fills out form, and then we'll say is this a support ticket? If yes, so that'll be if yes, and this will be no. So we'll say yes, and all I'm doing is double clicking on the line here. And so if yes, fill out, I don't know, form 1. It's not a support ticket, fill out form 2. Okay, so now we have this decision, which again, I like to color code decisions. So the customer, maybe we want the customer to be red. We want a support team to be blue, and all decisions are purple. So we fill out form 1, and then we want to take an action here. So we can take basic steps, and we want to make sure that all of our shapes align. So circles are forms, squares right now we have as decisions, which if we wanted to change our mind and make it a diamond, we can do that too. We can change the shape if we wanted to. Usually decisions are diamonds, but there are all kinds of different shapes here that we can pick, right? So let's do let's just do a triangle, and the point is more so not what shapes you use, but how you're going to govern the way that it's read. So don't create some forms that are the decision is a square, and don't, make sure you're consistent. So if you're going with diamonds, go with diamonds. If you're going with triangles, go with triangles. Like, keep everything consistent throughout your entire business to say what means what. So for me, for right now, forms are going to be circles, diamonds are going to be decisions. So, and then we'll do actions as triangles. So we can say email customer to find resolution. And if it's not a support ticket, maybe it's just they filled out a form for feedback. Maybe we say enter, feedback into CRM, and then we'll go to end the process, and then we put this over here on the left, and we draw a line, and then we'll draw a line, right? And so this is a very basic flow, right? Customer fills out a form on your website. Is that form a support ticket or not? If yes, you fill out a form that goes into a system for support, and then email the customer to find a resolution. Now we can go like this too. So if you want to go multiple levels deep, you can right click this page 1 and rename it and say overview. And then you can create a new page, and you can call this like support ticket. And so you can map out multiple processes here that you could say, like, instead of email customer to find resolution, you could say begin support ticket process, right? And then the support ticket process, maybe you want to change the color, or bold it, or who knows, right? However you want to identify the fact that there's a sub process, right? And then you would say, okay, here is that sub process. So start, and then we go through it again, adding shapes, so on and so forth, right? But the biggest thing to keep here and to keep in mind is making sure that you're consistent with your colors, making sure that you're consistent with your shapes, and making sure that when somebody were to pick this up, it's very easy to understand and easy to read. It doesn't matter how many levels deep you go. It doesn't matter what shapes you use as long as you're consistent. If you want to use squares for your decisions, use squares. If you want to use circles, but don't have like one form be a circle and then another form be a square. Don't do that. It's confusing to read and it's hard to understand, right? So you want to make sure that when you're building these out, they're really easy to understand, and anyone who would have picked them up would have the ability to do so. So now that we have this general filled out, I'm going to go to swim lane and search for a swim lane. And so a swim lane is right here. So I can just click and drag, bring in the swim lane. And so now maybe I want to move stuff over a little bit, right? So there we go. So this is, we can call this function customer, right? This is what they're, and since we made customer red, let's make customer red again. Now I want to add in another swim lane, right? And so we brought that over, and this decision up here, now maybe it falls here, and I didn't mean to add that little arrow there. There we go. So now we just want to kind of like size this stuff out, make it fit. Looks like I changed the circle size by accident. Let's get it back. I'm just hitting Control Z, which is undo. There we go. There we go. All right. So then we can go bring it down. Bring it down. Cool. And so we'll call this like sales or customer service. And so customer service, we want customer service to be, how about orange? And so we'll change this to orange now. So it matches. Now I'm gonna create a new swim lane. Oops. Create a new swim lane. All right, and so maybe if it's not a support ticket, and they just like want, they want to say, hey, how good you guys are. So this is the marketing team maybe. And so we can make marketing, let's make marketing this really powder blue maybe. And so now maybe it's hard to read that white. So if we come up here and we just hit that, it'll change the text color. Pretty cool, right? So now we want to make sure that this, and there we go, fill out form 2. And maybe they're the ones entering the feedback into the CRM. So we can go like that. Boom. And then that's how you'd use swim lanes. And we can call this customer feedback. And then there we go. We have this overall process that is complete. Let's drag it down so it's only on one page, so we don't have to deal with multiple pages. And so we have our swim lanes built out. It's relatively easy to understand. We can change the size to make it easier to read. And so we just have this overall flow. It has a clear beginning. So we start here, the customer fills out the form. It comes down to the customer service. Purple is the decision that needs to be made, either by an individual or by the process itself. It's a support ticket. If yes, this customer service rep fills out form 1, begins the support ticket process, and then it ends this initial step. Marketing, is it a support ticket? We fill out form 2, they enter feedback into the CRM, and then it ends this initial part of the process. Then we can go into support ticket, right? And we can do the same thing. We can add a swim lane and such to say what's the actual process that goes into the support ticket. And maybe this is a totally new thing, right? So we say the support ticket process starts, with the support team, or what do we call it in that one? Customer service, right? Customer service, maybe they work with sales and marketing. Who knows, right? Or maybe it can become escalated, etc. But we want to bring this out, right? Bring it through and mark all the steps and all the processes as we go. So yeah, that's how this works. You want to make sure that you are, again, clearly keeping everything consistent. Customer service, they were orange, weren't they? Yep, so we want to make sure that maintains orange. Sales, maybe we haven't added them yet, so let's, maybe they're this navy, and marketing is this light blue. So again, we want to make sure that we are keeping everything consistent so it's very easy to understand, easy to read as we go through. So this would be support ticket process. And it goes through who's responsible to what, and then where does it end? It ends here at the bottom, at the voice to the right. Now it could end with customer service, but it would never want to end like this. Like you never want to end. If it ends with sales, then you want it to end over here with sales, okay? Because you want to read it left to right. Here is another way to build them out. This would be what I used over here was a template that already has swim lanes created. You can do the same thing here. I created a blank one using different swim lanes. So this one actually has a vertical swim lane. So you can use that as well. So there are different ways to build it out. It's really all about how you want your process to read and how you want to read it, but it always goes left to right. And then when you're finished with this, you can save it as a PDF, which I highly recommend. And then you save it as a PDF for your team to see. And a lot of members will take these PDFs. So here's the PDF. And they'll blow it up. So like here's the sub process, right? So you have the initial process and then you have the sub process. And now you have it all on one document. A lot of enterprise organizations will blow these up and put them on a wall for their whole team to see. So this is how you do it. This is how you create one. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help you through these. But start just by messing around with this, by bringing on shapes and bringing on arrows. Do not, I can't stress this enough, right? Do not go directly into any sort of automation. You want to get your entire process mapped out before you take any steps of action, because it's very important to understand the process first and to go over it with your team through this Visio diagram to say, hey, does this make sense to you? This is where it starts. This is where it ends. Are we missing anything? You don't want to dive straight into automation. You don't want to dive straight into templated forms or anything like that. You want to make sure the process is understood, because I can't tell you how many times that I've seen organizations, I mean like big organizations, go through this and they'll say, oh, then they need to do this. And then you have all of these things on here. They're like, wait a second, wait. Why are we doing this? And we're duplicating work. There's multiple things here. So you'll find just by drawing these things out what actually needs to be there, and you'll be able to trim your processes. So hopefully this helps you guys. If you run any questions, like I said, please feel free to reach out. We did include a template of one of these that are finished in the downloadables. There's also a Rossi diagram. So the Rossi diagram, maybe I'll make a video about that as well. But that's an Excel sheet essentially that goes through the steps and the sub steps within the process. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Roy.Edwards, right down here. That's my name. Roy.Edwards@capitalpresence.com, or we'll put a sign-in sheet or an email sheet on the QR that you got. So thanks guys. Thanks for hanging out.